I'm back, and I have to share my story with you of my experience of trying to sell a car this morning.
Go on then.
Toyota Aygo up for 2795, 2011, 70,000 miles. Auto Trader values it at 2680, but there's not a lot of small stock round locally. Small CC, cheap sub 3 grand stock. So I always go a little bit higher on that stock because I think you can. Chap booked to come and see it. He's just had a look round it. Didn't want to take it for a drive, and he's just shown me a sheet of paper where he has on a sheet of paper, every MOT the car has ever had in its life on a 2011 car and what it failed on. He then said he needed to question why it would be MOT'd with only a 4 month gap between the MOT, which I had to explain was because I can't send out a car based on what might have happened in the last 4 months on the road for safety. It needs to have a new MOT. He said, okay. He said, okay, but I've looked it up online, and We Buy Any Car say that car is only worth £700. And Parker says even worse, it's only worth £680. I, honest to God, guys, you just don't know what to say in those circumstances, do you? So I pulled up Auto Trader and said, well, there's Auto Trader, and it says it's worth 260 something odd pounds, and I've got it up for 2795. So best I could do is match what Auto Trader says it could be. I said, but I if you bought me that car to my yard, 2011, 70,000 miles with a new MOT on it, and I offered you £600, you'd be insulted, wouldn't you? I said I can't buy the cars at that price. If I could find them that price, I'd fill this yard full of them. If I could buy Igos 2011 with that mileage on with new MOTs for £600, I'd fill the entire yard full of them, wouldn't I? It just so yeah, I can only view that as really a complete waste of my time because why would you come out to look at a car that you thought was £2,100 overpriced?
It makes you hate the public, doesn't it?
So he didn't buy it.
What do you do in those circumstances?
Well, in those circumstances, I mean, this is why I'm not involved because I'd almost be like, okay, no worries, and just before I get annoyed, I just walk away from them and leave it because I just think you're such a twat. But if I was in that situation and I could keep my cool, I would just be like, oh, okay, oh, that's interesting. What colours have We Buy Any Car and Parker's got in stock at the moment?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
well, obviously they don't sell cars. It's like, right, well, you're not going to buy one for that price then, are you? That's the price they're recommending that someone like myself might want to buy it. And I'd love to buy it for that price. But in fact, I paid at least twice as much as that. And then I've put a lot of work into it. So if you think my price is high, then you've got a lot more research to do on your buying kind of journey yet. So,
and if you're out looking for if you're out looking for a 13-year-old car that's never failed an MOT, I mean some of those MOT failures are bulbs and wiper blades, but
people seem to set themselves the impossible task. You're not going to
yeah,
find that.
possible time. I want one owner. Every MOT has been done exactly 12 months apart. It always passed every MOT without anything required on it. It is 13 years old and is mint condition inside now. He said to me, he said, you've had it serviced. What service you done? I said, well, it's a Toyota Aygo 1 litre. It's had its oil and filter done on it. There's nothing. Oh, so a minor service. Well, in all fairness, there's nothing really else on a 1 litre Aygo you can do. There's no cabin filter
Yeah, unless you're going to do plugs and
unless you want
stuff
me
as
to
well or whatever.
do the brake fluid on it. Yeah, it is. It can be very challenging at times. I just don't know what goes through somebody's head like that when they set off in the morning to come and do a viewing. Yeah, if I thought a car was that drastically overpriced,
When I was a bit newer to this and a bit more enthusiastic, and I'd been listening to Dave's podcast in the early days, and I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Nick again of the Lovely Car Company. Said when you get those stupid questions, someone phones up and it's like, "Can you tell me a little bit more about the car?" And you're there thinking, "Well, I've put like a bloody essay on the listing. I've put a picture of every service history. I've put a video that points out every mark on it. There's 100 pictures. Like, what else do you want to know?" And his theory was like, "That's your opportunity to." I'm asking about the car, but I want to know about you. What are you going to say? What are you going to? So he will go into this thing, and that's what I would do now. Is if I'm like, well, all the information's there, but it will come with a 3 month warranty. We do a fresh service. We'll do a fresh MOT if it's due, or within 6 months or whatever, and you can kind of give your opportunity. But now, unfortunately, which is probably why it's better, I'm not in sales. I I probably disqualify people much earlier than I should do because Jason will deal with them and he will do very well. But someone like that, for example, oh well, we only cast. I'm already like, I think you're a prick. You've pissed me off coming and saying crap like that. You're ignorant for a start, and you've wasted my time. I wouldn't say this to people, but instantly I'm just like, you're not buying. You want this is a massive waste of my time from here on out. So talking to you and giving you an explanation as to why or whatever, I'm much happier these days to just. Someone says, "Oh well, it's it failed an MOT back then. Why was that? How's that work been done?" It's like, well, it's had 6 MOTs since it hasn't been mentioned, so I'd assume it has done. Oh right, well, yeah, it'd be interesting to know. Have you got the receipts for that? It's like, no, I haven't. People, oh, why haven't you got the receipts? Well, because people aren't very good at filing stuff sometimes, and some people aren't that bothered. But it's you go on, and when it gets to a certain point, and I'm just like, I haven't got any more time to give you for this. You're not going to buy it, and if you were, I wouldn't want to sell it to you. So
Yeah. It's funny because we talk about it's good that the consumer is informed, but I think so many consumers don't know how to analyze the data they're being provided. They're just kind of like they just get it from everywhere, and they don't really know what is meaningful and what's not meaningful.
what is it? Some of the things people say to us, like, "Oh, why has it had so many owners?" Or I wouldn't any of these things. Or like, oh, the mileage is much higher. Like, how many miles are on that 10,000, BMW X5 that's like 3 years old out there? And you're like, oh, it has got 120,000. You're like, well, that's why it's 10,000 and it looks really good value. If it. So I tell you what, I'll bring one up here for what you were hoping I would say, which is 25,000 miles, and it's 25 grand. And they're like, oh, bloody hell, oh, well, no, it just looked good value, sort of thing. There's just no. They haven't got the understanding, I guess, but there's just no logic behind it. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know what the answer to it is. I don't think there is any answer to it. I think we're always going to find those people in any industry you're in, I guess, whatever industry, and you're going to find it. And I know that someone will walk on, in a couple of days' time and go, Toyota Aygo, perfect. That's what I wanted for my daughter. Got a new MSC in it, brilliant. Been serviced, brilliant. Ideal. Off we go.
Yeah, yeah. It's getting harder. It's getting harder. It really
Yeah, I
is.
mean, questions like that, like why has it had so many owners, and why has it done this, and why has it done that, I find really hard to answer because it's like I haven't owned the vehicle. I never owned it. I bought it a couple of weeks ago, and I put it through my MOT. And we got. I couldn't. I can't. You want me to give you a reason that makes you feel better about buying the car, but I'd just be totally guessing.
Yeah.
I'd be guessing what the reason for it is.
I did always. I don't want giving Jamie an opportunity to speak here, but I did used to always say that I think buyers want you to lie to them. They don't want the truth from you. They want you to. They. The thing is, here's the thing. Here's the true thing, and it sounds bad. They want you to lie to you because we won't, but I think a lot of them do want you to lie to them. So they'll say, "Oh, is it going to be reliable?" They don't want you to say, "Well, I can't guarantee it," but that's why we give you a warranty. And every car, especially this one at 12 years old, there's a fair chance something will go wrong at some point, and that's why we give you a warranty. And that's why we give you breakdown cover, and that's why we're here at the end of the phone. That's a great answer, and that's very true. But that's not what they want to hear. They want to hear, "Yeah, it's a great car." It's not. It's not. These cars, this one, definitely not going to give you any problems whatsoever. In fact, I know this car and whatever. I know the last two owners and they're both like loved it, whatever. That's what they want to hear, even though they'll use it against you in the future, and it's not what we do. But in an ideal world, that's what they would hear, and then they'd be placated and feel happy. But that's just not living in reality, and we're not going to do that.
My best performing video on YouTube to date with the most views is uh, you want car dealers to lie to you, and it's just me stood in front of a Mini. It's 10 minutes long. I'm stood in front of a Mini go, I'm trying to sell this Mini Cooper. It's from a couple of years back. Trying to sell this Mini Cooper S, and I said, people are ringing me up and they're going, I can hear they can have timing chain problems. And I'm like, yeah, they can. I can hear they can get coked up valves. Yes, they can. I can hear they do this. So all these people were ringing me, and I was saying, yeah, you can be right. You should be cautious. I was saying to some people, it might be worth having a little bit of a fund, to one side to do some of these known repairs going forwards. And it's like I said in the video, I said, but they don't actually want you to tell them that stuff. They're not buying it because I'm telling them the truth. They want me to say, as you said, no, never had that issue with one. No, this one will be absolutely fine. You'll never have any challenges. So, like you say, they do to a certain extent one, because also then when that turns out not to be the case going forwards, they can tell me, what a terrible car dealer. He
It's
told
your
me,
fault.
he told
You
me,
told me.
yeah, you told me, yeah.
I once went to a car dealer and I said, "Look at this Audi A5. It's clean."
Yeah,
One I've ever
exactly
seen. You
that.
can trust me.
Exactly that, yeah. It's
Yeah.
But like I say, I guess it's the same in many industries out there. I'm sure a lot of people get in the comments, and I know people commenting that they sell used computers and other electrical goods and stuff like that, and they have similar challenges.
But you know what I find interesting, just to keep going off on a tangent here. Um, I always used to say to everyone here that I was like, they get upset if someone was being arsy about a car, or some real minor thing had happened and they wanted to reject it or get a refund or whatever, and they'd be trying to argue the toss and trying to placate them and whatever, and I'd be like, just don't worry about it, just let them have the money back and get it, because sometimes it's nothing wrong with the car, there's something wrong with the customer, or it's not a bad car, it's a bad customer, but the next one will be perfectly fine. So I've always had that attitude of just move it on to the next person. But what's interesting, I was trying to get to, is Chic is saying he's got a whole like sales desk, and he's got a team of qualifiers who qualify the leads before they hand them to a salesperson. So this is Chic, who's got like 350 cars in stock. But say someone phones up and they're interested in something, they'll go through and make sure, like, oh, okay, how are you planning on funding the car? And they'll either say, we've got the money, or we've got finance lined up, or we'd like you to do us finance a quote. Or they say, well, we're just kind of doing some research at the minute, or whatever. Well, the ones who are like, yeah, we got cash, or we've got finance lined up, or we want you to do a finance quote for us if you can. Well, then the qualifiers will do the finance quote and give it to them. And if they're like, yeah, that sounds good, then they'll give it to a salesperson, and then they'll get on with the deal. So they are filtering out the time-wasting twats and the shoppers. Do you know what I mean? So whereas customers are coming around with their bit of paper and they've done their MOT and they've done their history, you need to qualify customers as well, which is, I guess, what I'm doing. When someone's like, oh, right, well, what's all this MOT about? What's that about? Why isn't there two keys? Who do you think's got the key? What can you tell me about the previous owner? Who were they and where did they live? And, why did they buy the car? Why did they sell it? I'm like, twat. Twat. Just fuck off.